Writing is such an important skill that we should not overlook the value it has for our students. Writing reinforces their understanding of English and improves vocabulary. It increases knowledge, creativity, and imagination. Creative writing prompts. I made a list of interesting topics to write about. You can download 60 really fun writing prompts for free in the description below. Classroom graffiti. Set up 4 chart paper stations around the room with the following titles: conflicts, character traits, settings, and themes. Break the class into 4 groups and have each group go to one of the stations. The group members work together to graffiti the page with potential conflicts, character traits, settings, and themes that could emerge in a fictional story. Then have them circulate to the next station and repeat the process. When they are done, have each student select 1 character trait, 1 conflict, 1 setting, and a theme from the graffitied pages to develop a unique narrative. If students are lower level, you can use different stations like characters, actions, objects, and descriptive words. Ask the oracle. Every player has to write 1 question which they want the oracle to answer at the top of the page. Now, every writer has to pass their papers to the person on their left. That student has to write the answer to the question. Now the writers have to conceal the question written at the top portion by folding it and then pass it on to the person on their left. This step is tricky but interesting. Every writer has to write a possible question after reading the previous answer they see in the paper. The same rounds continue till the bottom of the page and end with an answer. All the writers unfold their papers to read their original question, the answers they've received, and everything in between. A how-to paragraph for aliens. Students have to write clear instructions for an alien to impersonate them. For example, write clear instructions for the alien on how to go to school in the morning. The alien should be able to impersonate you exactly without getting caught. This assignment asks students to think over something that is second nature to them. They must break down actions and describe them. Students must not only think about what they do, but how they do it. You can use your own video, but as an example, I'll use this one. It's from Coca-Cola and it displays the differences between today's life and the past by showing a grandfather and grandson's life side by side. First, put the students into pairs and then they watch the video. Then, ask them questions. Start easy. What's your favorite drink? What did you see in the video? What differences were there? How is your life different from your grandparents? Then, watch it again. Each pair should write down the differences they see. Students construct sentences. Give them an example sentence. In the past, people brought their lunch to work. Today, people buy lunch. Finally, tell the students to apply some of the ideas from the board to write an essay on how life has changed. Encourage them to use examples from their own lives in their writing. The aim is for students to write about a single chosen object. In this exercise, we use a cube to ask 6 kinds of questions about an item to help them describe it. Each question gives students a different way to look at an idea or object. The answers generate lots of information which helps students add depth and detail to their writing. Describe. What is the idea? What does the object look like? Describe it with words about the senses. Compare. Is it similar to something else? Contrast. How is it different from others? What makes it unique? Analyze. Divide the whole thing into smaller parts. Apply. How can it be used? Who uses it? What can we learn from it? And argue. What do you think about it? Is it good? Is it bad? Right or wrong? Yes or no? Explain your decisions with reasons. In 2 linked paragraphs, write about 2 seasons. Explain which season you like the most and which season you like the least. In order to help students write fully developed paragraphs, have them think of all the things they can write about. What do they do during summer but not winter? What is the weather like? Remind students to appeal to the reader's senses. Hand each student a sheet of paper. Ask them to write a story from the top. Then play music and tell students to write according to the mood of the music. African drumming, pop, Star Wars theme, classical, whatever works for you. They write any story they want. When you stop the music, they pass the paper to the person next to them, who reads it and then continues the story. The longer this activity lasts, the more time they will need to read the story. So I suggest you limit each story to 5 or 6 turns. Otherwise, it gets too long. Play an association game with your students. Tell them a word and ask them to create an association chain for it. For example, airport, travel, holidays, fun, party, night, moon, space, and so on. Each word should be connected to the last, but there doesn't need to be a general theme to it. Ask the students to write a story using all of their own words. Write a report about a real event. Give students a newspaper. Let them share it in a group and pick a news story to write about. They can rewrite an article in their own words, although this might lead to a bit of plagiarism. Or write it from another perspective. Like, if it's a sport, they do it from a player's point of view, or they can write a letter to the editor. Later, you can even let the students present their reports in front of class and answer questions about the material. Categories. Starting with the chosen letter, students have to think of words in different categories. Categories is a fun activity that can easily keep individual students occupied, but I prefer using it with pairs of students to improve teamwork and camaraderie. After placing learners in pairs, pick 5 to 10 categories and write them on the board. Each team copies the categories on a sheet of paper. Then pick a random letter. Students have to write a word for each category, starting with the letter. For example, the letter C. They have to think of words starting with the letter C for the given categories. Country, China, animal, cat, vegetable, cucumber. Only unique answers score points, challenging students to think outside the box. In my book, 100 No Prep Classroom Activities, you can find 60 different topics for categories. I placed it in the description below. Sentences. Write a simple sentence on the board. Then, one by one, ask students to add words, phrases, or clauses to the sentence so it gradually expands and becomes more complex. For example, Eric is a teacher. My brother Eric is a teacher. My younger brother Eric is a teacher. My younger brother Eric is a teacher in South Korea who loves sweets. My younger brother Eric is a science teacher in South Korea who loves sweets but lost all his teeth. Now that you've modeled the activity, place the students in groups to create their own sentences. You can give them a starter sentence or they can make their own and afterwards share their expansions